Thank you very much, Jaume. Good afternoon to you all. Sorry if we kept you waiting for a few minutes. I'll start with a few comments on the tragic and premature loss of our President, David Sassoli. He was a great European, and this has weighed very heavily on this House. And our thoughts will continue to be with his family and his friends in this very difficult time. At the same time, of course, I am honoured to have been elected by my colleagues as President of the European Parliament. As I just said in the plenary, I know that I have big shoes to fill, and I will pay a tribute to David and all those before him by always standing up for this House and for Europe. Let me also say that I very much look forward to working with all of you. This House is an ardent defender of the rights and security of journalists. And as I just promised the members of the European Parliament, let me also promise to you that I will be available as possible also to you. I wanted to try my best to limit these opening remarks because you have heard my speech and my visions after a lot of discussions, months-long discussions with colleagues from the different political groups, so I don't need to repeat them again. So I would really like to go straight to questions, and I'm open to anything you'd like to ask.
Thank you. So we start with the questions. First here, please, first row. Can you
Madam
please
President?
introduce yourself?
Yeah. Congratulations and good luck. News agency Interfax Ukraine, Irina Sommer. In your speech, you already mentioned Ukraine and Belarus. So what is your view on the activity of this House outside of the EU border, particularly on the east? And second part of my question is, yesterday AFET and SEDA expressed intention to send fact-finding mission to Ukraine because of military Russian build-up on Ukrainian border and in Ukraine. Will you support this idea? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I mentioned specifically Ukraine and Belarus also because of the context that we are living in and also the security risks and threats at our external border. This Parliament has been very strong and consistent in its statements that dictators will not divide us, and those messages will continue to be sent. As you have seen also, which you referred to, the declarations from AFET and SED. The situation in Belarus remains a big concern, and therefore we will continue to be very vocal, and we will use all the tools available in our hands in order to send the strongest political messages, but also ones of solidarity with people who live within dictatorial regimes and whose rights are being trampled upon.
Congratulations, President. Can I speak Italian? Because you speak it very well. It will be very short. Presidente, lei...
President, you were probably voted in by the Italian League. They had your vote. You probably got, as I say, a lot of votes from them, as well as the right. Now, you've talked quite clearly on the subject of migration in your speech. And David Sassoli, in his inaugural speech, made migration one of the cardinal features of his policies. Unfortunately, it's one of the points where nothing has really budged, nothing's really moved in recent years on the migration front. So what do you think that the European Parliament should be doing or supporting as a solution when it comes to the reform of Dublin? And personally, do you agree that we should abandon the principle of the country of first arrival of migrants in the EU, which is, of course, the touchstone of the Dublin ruling, and it flies in the face of solidarity within the EU when it comes to taking in migrants?
An important point. This is something that has dominated debates in this House for years. I spent the last 9 years in the Civil Liberties Committee, also as one of the negotiators of the Migration Pact. I'm proud of what we've done in this House, also in the last mandate, and today we have a pact that has been proposed by the Commission that is being very intensively negotiated in the Civil Liberties Committee, but also with all the shadows and rapporteurs of different committees as well. But I also want to say that I am the President of this Parliament, which means that I will abide by the positions taken by this Parliament. So I will wait for the outcomes of those committees, and I look forward to potential trialogues on those instruments, because it is really important that in 2024, when we face our electorates again, we would have been able to respond to, as you mentioned as well, the topmost, foremost concern, if I remember correctly, at the time, of almost all member states in 2019, where migration was at its foremost. In this House, discussions on this have been always very active, very different parts of the House coming together, but in my experience, we have managed to find solutions, no matter how difficult they were, and that is what I aim to do, even in my position as President, in order to facilitate those agreements and those positions that could help also strengthen the voice of this institution when negotiating with the European Commission, but also when representing this institution in the European Council.
Congratulations, Dr. Metsola. I'm going to address you Maltese, because we as Maltese we're very proud that you were elected for such a prestigious position. Xi tfisser għalik dan ir-riżultat li ksibt?
What does this result mean to you? And what will your priorities be for this legislature?
It's an honour for our country, and it's an honour for such a small country that precisely is not that big, but in this chamber it will be led by a Maltese woman. I think this should make us all proud, and I think this will be a testament of the hard work we've done ever since we've joined the European Union, and also ever since we've decided to be part of the decisions. We've been part of the decisions, we've influenced these decisions, sometimes we've made changes to that really mattered, and today I'd really like to thank everyone, including my colleague David Casa, as well as my other 4 colleagues, the other MEPs, the left-wing MEPs, Maltese MEPs. I believe that as a country we have spoken with one voice to decide what's best for our country. My vision. Well, I've spoken about this in my speech, the one I've just done just now. I would like a more effective European Parliament. I'd like to be helped by vice presidents and quaestors that are able to visit all the member states, so that whoever in 2.5 years' time will have the chance to vote, irrespective of their political party, irrespective of whom they want to vote for, they will have the possibility to choose somebody they know, somebody who holds values which are dear to the European Union. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Julian Bonnici from Love and Malta. My question for Roberta Metsola is, how do you think the still worrying rule of law situation in Malta will reflect on your presidency? And how do you envisage your future collaboration with the Maltese government, given comments made by Labour Party figures, including sitting cabinet members, about your EU work? You know, I think there are ministers who have called you a traitor, you know, so how do you think that's going to work out?
No, I had a very good meeting yesterday with the Prime Minister, Roberta Metsola, where we agreed to work together on a lot of issues that are of concern, or also of need to address, not only as Maltese but also as Europeans, committed Europeans, pro-Europeans, and ones who work very well within this House. With regards to any accusations in the past, I look forward, I don't look backwards. I think today's result is testament to the fact that we can look forward. And this is the Parliament of rule of law, which means that that is something we are all bound by. And in fact, I was asked in many of the hearings where I presented my candidature throughout the past weeks in different political groups, with different delegations, different nationalities, different parts of Europe, where we discussed the need to have standards, mechanisms to ensure that those fundamental values and principles that countries aspire to and need to prove that they abide by once they enter the European Union, they can also continue to abide by and make sure those rights are not retracted or regressed in any European Union member state. That would be my position, because the position of this is one of Parliament, which is unambiguous and unequivocal in this regard.
Yes, please back.
President Metsola, inauguralek.
Ms. Metsola, I'll speak in Maltese. So I'd like to ask you, President, how are you going to ensure that the Maltese people come closer to the European Parliament so that they get to know it? Thank you.
Nittama li mhix se tkun l-aħħar darba li kollha dan in-numru tal-Maltin fil-Kamra għax intkom tistgħu. Thank you for being in this room. We've never had so many Maltese in the room. I hope you shall help us to continue getting the message across. Okay, this will deal with our work and how we communicate. Our country is really pro-European. We really look at Europe as a community where our standards and our quality of life can be improved. That should be our aim, not only now, but over the coming years, and I think that we can all work together so that those aims will be reached. But I really make an appeal so that whenever we have discussions here, which perhaps are not directly related to the Maltese or Gossitans, but will affect them, where we have to decide which affects them, and we should decide more in a responsible way. And we shall ensure that we shall be listened to by every Maltese and Gossitan person. Thank you.
Hello, hi, Maya Durabum from Politico. One of the sticking points in your campaign has been the issue of abortion. So could you please just clarify what is your vision on this issue, but also your personal vision of this issue? Thank you.
European Parliament on all sexual and reproductive health and rights. It has been unambiguous. It has repeatedly called for these rights to be better protected. Just last month, we underlined the access to SRHR as an essential part of achieving gender equality and eliminating gender-based violence. This is the position of this House, and I can confirm and commit to all of you that that is the position I will push forward, as I've already done as Vice President once I have been entrusted to be the President of this House.
Thank you. Congratulations, President. Here. I'm Maria Psara with Star TV and Εφημερίδα των Συντακτών Greece. I have two questions, if I may. The first, you gave great emphasis to financial recovery. First of all, what role would you like for the European Parliament on the implementation of the RRF? And the second question, you mentioned Cyprus in your opening remarks. What will be the approach to the issue of Turkey, given the fact that Turkey threatens two member states, Greece and Cyprus, and the situation is often very difficult in the area of the Mediterranean? Thank you.
What was your name?
Maria.
Maria. So thank you, Maria. First of all, on financial recovery, I take inspiration by what President Sassoli said in his last European Council in December, where he referred to the so-called cruel inflexibility of the rules that have had to be looked into as our union has faced an unprecedented pandemic, and the effects of which we will be feeling for many years to come. At the same time, in this House, while approving an unprecedented amount of funds that would go to member states, we also insisted on inbuilt rules in order to make sure that there is no abuse and that there is transparency. Those are the rules that, together with colleagues from the Budgetary Control Committee, the Economic Affairs Committee, we will be working on very, very much closely together, and it is that position that I am given by this House that I will go and push with the different member states when I meet them within the European Council. Different governments have different positions. Different members in this House have different positions. It is going to dominate, I think, our discussions in the next months. But I must say that once we are talking about the very courageous decisions that we've taken over the past years, I think we can look forward with the fact that we've taken those decisions with responsibility and we are ready to face all methods, let's say, to push forward models, economical ones, that can work across our union. On Cyprus, yes, I wanted to specifically make a mention on that. It is still the one last divided country in our union. We saw last year, just before the pandemic, that Turkey started sabre-rattling by using vulnerable people at the external borders of our union. And therefore, that is something the Parliament and the Commission, I remember, and the Council have spoken on very strongly on this. The institutions were with one voice. And I'm convinced and I'm sure that that will continue to be the case.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Angela Mauro. I'm here. Angela Mauro of Post Italy. You've just said that on LGBTQ movements, your position is the position of the Parliament, but the Parliament on abortion has decided, voting with a large majority, a resolution, specific resolution, that abortion is a right in Europe, and you voted against this resolution. How are you going to interpret this position now that you are president of this House? Are you going to give a new interpretation of your political position on abortion specifically? Thanks.
I will not interpret positions of this House. They will be my positions of this House, and I will promote them. The context you referred to was a specific Maltese one, which is known to you all, and that has bound Maltese members of the European Parliament since we joined the European Union. But now I am President of the European Parliament, and the reports that you mentioned, together with all other resolutions, will be the position that I will promote, not only in-house, but also within the other institutions.
Good luck for the task ahead and happy birthday. I wanted to do a follow-up on the abortion issue, since you have just said that you intend to promote the Parliament's position outside this Parliament. I was wondering how you intend to do that in your home country, Malta, and in other countries where the right of women to sexual health is not guaranteed. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think you refer to sexual and reproductive health and rights. I can tell you that I will do what I did as Vice President over this past year, where I, for example, presented to the Polish Senate resolution that was passed on the abortion law in Poland myself, and I promoted it and I presented it as a position of the Parliament, and therefore that was my position. That is exactly what I will do with all positions that are taken in all this area, in this Parliament, in all the Member States.
Thank you very much. Marco Bresolin from the Italian newspaper La Stampa. This term began with a political decision 2.5 years ago to create a sort of cordon sanitaire through the far-right groups. I'm wondering what's your position, and if you think that the European Parliament will still have to keep this attitude and to exclude the members of this group from for example, the vice presidency or the presidency of the committee. Thank you.
First of all, I am the member of all 704 members of this Parliament. That is clear. That is exactly the position that has been taken by all my predecessors. The question of the cordon sanitaire is a question that you will need to address with the different political groups, because it is between them that these decisions on positioning, posts, etc., will be taken. And also, in the Conference of Presidents, you will see I have only chaired 2 so far. One this week. That I do not vote in the Conference of Presidents, and therefore that is the discussions that will take place between the different political group leaders. But I will say this, that as I said in my speech, that I will stand against anybody who wants to destroy the European project. They will find me and this House behind them in doing precisely that.
Hi, thank you very much. Andrés Gil from El Diario, Spain. Yes, I would like to ask you, you have just said that you will be against the ones who are against the European project. But you have received the votes from ECR, which is a group which is openly against the integration of the European project. So how do you feel getting these votes? And on the other hand, about the abortion, you said that you will do as you did as Vice President, but as Vice President you voted against these issues. Will you keep voting against as President? Thank you.
Thank you. Directly on your last point, no, I will not vote anymore. I already took that decision in the last plenary when it came to issues that affected the externalities of this House. So that is a decision that presidents can take, and I have decided not to vote. The vote you mentioned specifically referred to my country, and it was that national line that I adopted. But I repeat, when I was Vice President, that did not impact in any way the promoting of the position of this House on all issues, even in all Member States, even where those Member States, let's say some governments, were not ready to receive those issues. On who voted for me, it was a secret vote. And I cannot dare to be presumptuous enough to presume who voted for me and who didn't. I ask and I thank those colleagues who gave me the support. I will do my best to represent this House with dignity, and one that is a pro-European one that works with the constructive forces of all this House.
So thank you very much. There will be, of course, many other occasions in the future. Thanks for coming.